Beautiful, beautiful Friday morning, and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremonies were last night. A lot of great highlights, and I'll try to get as much audio and video as I can up on WFJR.com later this morning. I thought Stevie Nicks did a really good job inducting Linda Ronstadt. Strangely enough, I didn't really have an emotional tie to Nirvana, but Michael Stipe of REM gave a great speech inducting them, and Peter Gabriel's acceptance speech was really good as well. But right now I want to concentrate on KISS, who hated the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, really didn't want to go in, but they did it for their fans. Their fans really wanted it and wanted them to be acknowledged, and then it turned into a weird kind of a pissing match because they weren't inducting all of the band members that had been in the group over time, but it ended up just being a love fest for their fans last night. This is Tom Morello from the band Rage Against the Machine during the induction speech.
Just as KISS were relentlessly persecuted by critics, their fans were relentlessly persecuted by the self-appointed arbiters of taste in middle schools and high schools across America.
So I have with me on the phone from Indianapolis, Bill Starkey, who formed the initial fan group back in the early 70s called the KISS Army that was later taken over basically as their marketing arm. Did you feel persecuted in high school, Bill?
Yeah, we put up with a lot of crap, and I guess we're still going through a lot of that. But I'm kind of glad this is all over with because there's so much going on with the band now that this was. I'm glad that the band went ahead and did this because I think they did it strictly for the fans. Because I honestly know that many years ago when the fans wanted to petition the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that I was told from people pretty well connected with the band that the band pretty much didn't want us to do it even. So it was never any desire for KISS to want to get in the Hall of Fame. It was all about us KISS fans. So, yeah, we did put up with a lot of stuff.
What was it about the band that led to their formation or to your formation of the KISS Army?
Well, part of it was you were a crazy teenager, and sometimes you just don't like being told something that you feel is, right in your own way. And that drove half of it with me and Jay Evans. And I had seen KISS twice as an opening act, and even though they were an opening act, I still thought they were better than the acts that were around them. And I came back to Terre Haute, and I was telling people that eventually I got Jay and some friends to go with me, and they saw, well, for me it was the third show, was their first, and it started to, we started to have this thing to do in our senior year of high school, which was to push KISS. But the hard part of it was that the guys that would come back to us, and back then you wore your rock and roll T-shirts to school. Aerosmith, Leonard Skinner was huge back then, and they would come back to us and say, "Well, Starkey, if they're so great, why aren't they on the radio?" And they would also say, "Kiss my rear end," and we like Jay said, we got taunted a lot, but it didn't seem to deter us any. It just actually brought us together.
Yeah, it seemed like it would bind you, and then you guys were kind of calling radio stations, right?
It binds you, and then when you back in the 70s, and you should know this because you're a radio personality, back in the 70s, you had the request line where you actually had a say in what was on the playlist. You could call your disc jockey and say, I'd like for you to play this new song by Blue Oyster Cult or somebody, and it might be a new band. And more than often, if they were pretty good about it, you would probably get your request. But we met a roadblock with KISS, and they would say, well, we don't play that on this WVTS or whatever. Or I think he told Jay or one of us, I don't remember which one, but the term a mediocre Bachman Turner overdrive was mentioned in reference to what he thought of KISS, and I thought, oh, that's really bad. So, yeah, we were really kind of motivated by that. I mean, war was on, and a war by an army.
We've been talking to Bill Starkey. He is the man of over 40 years ago formed the KISS Army, which became a huge marketing arm for the band KISS. Chuck Klosterman's a pop culture writer. He wrote yesterday about the KISS induction into the Hall of Fame. There's at least one metric that makes sense to me: the sheer number of people who really care about an artist demonstrated over time. This is Paul Stanley of the band when they were inducted last night.
For us, this is a special night, but it's really a special night for our fans. This is vindication
And Bill, you mentioned earlier, is feeling vindicated. But you said to me when I was discussing, when we were setting up this interview, that Michigan played a huge role in KISS going over the top, right?
Well, when we found out that KISS had played Cobo Hall as a headliner in May, that kind of motivated us. And we were thinking, well, obviously we're not alone here. Michigan gets it. I mean, they're playing there. And as a matter of fact, before KISS came to their historical Terre Haute show, there's an itinerary book out about it, and KISS were supposed to play Traverse City the night before, and there was an electrical problem. And then they played 2 nights in Flint before that, and then I think Kalamazoo. So Michigan was huge as far as, the success of KISS, as far as I'm concerned, being a Hoosier. And we knew then when KISS had played Cobo that, we weren't alone here. Now, they did play as a headliner here in April. The third show that we saw them here was with, of all fans, Rush. So you can imagine that show. I mean, and this was the early Rush. So we knew that once we found out that KISS had played Cobo as a headliner and it did fairly well. And then, of course, look in September, KISS Alive comes out. We knew the back cover of KISS Alive was Cobo Hall. I mean, so obviously they were pretty much anointed there before they came here.
Yeah, and that was the big album really that put them over the top. Bill Starkey is the founder of the KISS Army. Thanks a lot for joining us today.
Joe, I appreciate it. And I think KISS is on CNN tonight. I think at 10 or 10:30. And then they're also on Jimmy Fallon tonight. So it's a KISS world. We just live in it.
Yep, that's right. 98.7 WFJR.